Hello and welcome to the Chatter Cave podcast, where we break down and review movies, TV on occasion, video games if you find one to talk about, and every now and again have a random conversation. I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes. I'm joined by the lovely Hayden, aka Lickler, and today we're starting our spooky season a bit early, but it's because we've got to cram some stuff in.
Yeah.
So we're starting it a bit early. Gotta get over those kiddie movies. Gotta ease ourselves then into the horror. So today we're covering
Addams Family.
No.
What?
It's because you're wearing pigtails doesn't mean we're doing Addams Family.
No. Oh, I got the wrong thing, didn't I?
No, today we're going to be covering...
It wasn't it.
The Thing. No, not the original 19 whatever it was when it came out. The Thing from Another World. No, not the classic John Carpenter. The Thing.
Not the Fantastic Four character.
Yeah, it's not that one either.
I was upset about that.
No, it's the 2011 prequel, The Thing. God, 2 movies called The Thing, and then you've also got the original on top of that, the black and white one. Jesus Christ. But yeah, the prequel, The Thing from 2011. The one where they were like, okay, we want to attempt The Thing. We don't remake it because it'd be like trying to remake Jaws. It's not going to work. So we'll do a prequel. And it tries to copy the original. Obviously, you've not seen the original, so you can't really debate that too much.
I was going to say, yeah.
But in obviously more modernised. Obviously with a lot more digital effects rather than practical, but they did do practical until the studio went, looks unrealistic, put digital all over that.
And made it look more unrealistic.
Yeah, made it more look... I mean, the CGI is not terrible. I've seen way worse CGI, but there is a couple of moments that you say, that you go, but overall it's not as bad as some movies with CGI, but after seeing a lot of the practicals from I think there's a YouTube video, because I know there's a campaign at one point trying to get them to release the director's version, and obviously they showed the behind the scenes of them doing the practicals, like the scene with the two faces merged. That was all practical, and then they fucking slapped all CG over it. Obviously, seeing all that makes me go, okay, I kind of really wish to see the practical version, because then it would have felt more adjacent, obviously more connected with the Carpenter classic, because that was all practical. So yeah, the practicals would have looked a lot different because it's more modern practical than it was 80s practicals, but it would feel like the films connect even more. Part of, obviously, the films connect because the ending is the start of the next movie, yes, but it'd feel like they both connect even heavier because they both did the exact same thing of practical rather than digital. So, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a bad film. I've seen way worse movies. But in comparison to Carpenter's classic, it is like smudging shit all over the lens and saying, "Here goes the movie." That's not me saying it's like terrible. That's just me saying they're in comparison, but not a straight up disaster.
It's like the interference is what made it bad, but everything else.
It's like it's an interesting story because it is interesting to find out what happened to the Norwegian crew, because all you see in the original, the Carpenter remake, not the original, sorry. Too many fucking versions of this movie. What you see in that, obviously all you get to see is the bodies, the carnage, the aftermath. Whereas this is like, okay, let's show you what caused all this to happen. Let's actually take a deep dive into it and show you how this all started, how this then affected this American camp. Which I like. I think that's a pretty cool idea, and obviously then you get to see how obviously things were placed, like the dead bodies, the axe in the wall. You get to see all these sort of things, and obviously the aliens. You get to see where they found them before Kurt Russell found them, which is I do like, because I remember when this got first obviously revealed, I was like, oh, why they remade this movie?
Yeah,
and then I realised, oh shit, it's a prequel. It's not actually a remake, it's a prequel. I mean, it's not the first time that's happened. There's another, I can't figure out the top of my head. There's another film that did that. I was like, oh, really? Oh, that's just going to suck. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't a remake. It's like, it's a sequel or a prequel. It's completely different. So I do like that they chose to go further back than just give you the same movie again. Yes, they try to, but they do twists on it, like the experiment to see who's an alien. Yeah. Obviously, they're like, okay, we can use the blood. Blood's out of the question. Okay, we'll look at the fillings.
Implant and stuff.
So that they do switch it up a bit, so it's not a carbon copy. Yeah, there's still obviously the idea of, oh no, this guy's really bad. We need to try and help him. Oh no, he's now turned to an alien. Yes, that is still used, but in a different way. It's not a dead guy. It's someone unconscious. So they do switch it up a bit in comparison to how Carpenter did back then. So I do respect that they hint at little Easter eggs, a bit like let's say Ghostbusters and the new Halloweens. They give little hints and Easter eggs to the past without fully copying it. So they're like, okay, this happened before. Let's do it this way instead. This works even better for us. So I do like that they do that rather than just carbon copy. Because when it's a carbon copy, it's just like, what's the point?
Just watch the original.
Like, for example, Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah.
The first half, yes, fair enough. It's a complete new movie. Everything's brand new. Adding more layers to the character of Michael Myers. But then the second half is basically a carbon copy, apart from a couple of moments, like one character not dying, of basically the original. Like most of it is basically the exact same. Stop dangling your neck, you fucking bullhorn. But most of it is carbon copy of the last. They just change it to a certain different area of the house or make it more brutal. But it's basically the exact same movie. It's just a case of, okay, why watch this weird movie when I can go watch the classic, more sleeker horror movie? So it's like that idea. So I do like. I would say I would compare this heavily to Rob Zombie's Halloween, for the fact that for me they're both on the same level of. Okay, may as well watch the original, but this has the exception over that because it's the prequel, so you can get away with actually watching this, or not even watching it at all.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like it adds to it instead of just like taking away the experience, making you not want to watch it. It's like it's one of those ones where you could always watch it to make the original more richer, a bit more fleshed out.
But if you want to stick to the idea of it's a mystery, what the hell's going on here, then you can just skip it entirely.
Yeah, it's like the Star Wars, the prequels and the original ones and the sequels. You don't have to watch the prequels, watch the sequels. But you could also, you can as well.
It just adds to the history behind
ones.
it.
You can either add the history to all of Anakin, or have the mystery of who's Luke's father. It's all your choice.
So it is, whereas obviously like a remake, you can straight up skip it if you wanted to. Whereas this is the idea of, okay, I could just do like a remake and just skip it entirely, or I could sit through it and just see how they obviously intertwine perfectly. And I do like the fact heavily that the ending of the movie then perfectly aligns into the start of Carpenter's. Heck, even the music shift for the end credits when you see the guy hunting you see Lars hunting the dog. That's Carpenter's music. That's the Thing's theme song. So they perfectly put that into the movie when it's actually slowly becoming Carpenter's movie. So I really do like how they did that. The transition was perfect. And it does then, obviously, as they set up the Thing, the Carpenter. I'm just going to call it John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
Because I can't really say the original because it's not the original. The black and white version is the original. Carpenter's remade that and just went, okay, let's just call it The Thing instead. But yeah, so it perfectly transitions into Carpenter's version. So I do really like that. But as I say, in comparison, just watch the original.
Yeah.
I'd skip the prequel. You don't really need to know what happens in the Norwegian camp. Yes, it's nice. It might be nice to go back after you watch the original. If you've never seen the original, watch that before you watch this, because then that's the more mysterious side to it. You know, obviously you'd be like, oh shit. Then again, you can then, if you watch the original, you can then skip the prequel because you know exactly, oh, this person, when it starts becoming this moment, you're like, that person's gonna die, that person's gonna die, that person's gonna die. Heck, we don't even know what happened to Kate. Obviously, she's a character that intertwined, obviously added to this movie, but then you've never heard of her in the Carpenter version. So did she just freeze to death? Did she make it to the Russian camp? No one fucking knows.
Did she get abducted by the alien and shoved off in space?
No one fucking knows. But yeah, I don't think it's a total letdown. It's a total waste of time. Sorry, that's not what I was after. But it is one where it could have been better. I feel like get rid of the CGI, went full practical. It might have added that extra. Yes, I don't think it would have reached Carpenter's level, but it's
would
still
have felt more like the same film.
Yes, it would have felt more like, okay, now you can definitely watch both back to back and not feel like it's two different movies. Because obviously it definitely shows the time when both were released of 2011 and 1980. I want to say 2. I might be wrong there. But yeah, it definitely shows the times of both releases with this CGI and the practical. Whereas obviously back then they couldn't use more CG, it was more, okay, we need to do this practically. Whereas then here it's like, we've done it practically. Okay, now let's use CG. And just ruin the fucking visuals, you arseholes. I'm pretty certain they changed the entire ending because of the CG. Like the studio went, okay, no, we need to change the ending entirely as well. But I mean, they put a lot of effort into getting this exactly. Heck, to get the station right, because there's no blueprints to do that Norwegian station. They basically matched the station. They looked at the original film, looked at the difference between Kurt Russell's height and the roof, and matched his height to the roof to basically then go, okay, this is how we need the building, the size of the building to be. Because he's walking around here, he's got, I don't know, he's got a couple of, he's got a feet difference between his head and the roof. Okay, we'll make sure we'll start where it would be, and then we'll add to it to make it to that level. So they put effort into making it exact. Because then, obviously, if it wasn't exact, you'd be like, okay, this base looks a bit too big to be what they found in the original. But they do it perfectly to make it exact, and they put a lot of effort into doing it. And so with the practicals and everything, it was just in the studio, fucking Universal, fucking it over.
As usual.
It's weird. It's usually Warner Brothers fucking it over, but this time it was Universal. Universal screwed everything up. And I mean, I wonder how much different it would have been in terms of how people would have reacted to it. Because this movie technically bombed the box office. It was like $1 million or $2 million shy of its budget. So that's technically a bomb. If it hasn't reached its budget or more, it's technically a box office disaster. And this was, critically, audience-wise, I'm pretty certain it was also a disaster. So I wonder what the reaction would have been from everyone else if they stuck to the original plan of CG, not CG, practical.
I imagine it'd be at least a bit more higher.
Because there's a lot. I'm pretty certain I can't remember where it is on YouTube, but I remember there's a YouTube video that basically shows off all the stuff, and that's what started making people go, okay, we want to see this version. We want to see the director's rendition of this, because that's got to be look a lot better than this. So, as I say, I have beef with the movie, but not as much beef as, you'd think.
Yeah, it's not as important to use like the Snyder cut kind of things.
No, I mean like obviously the beef is in like the movie being bad.
Oh, I meant like the change.
No, don't get me wrong. I want to see the I want to see the change. I want to see how the original ended it, because I think obviously that blue fucking column thing, that CG block pixels, Adam Sandler bullshit.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't in the original version. I don't think it was something else. The big fucking hulking alien, I don't think that was in the original version. There's a lot online that you can read about where they changed stuff. The studio basically forcing them to make changes, and obviously that's when it kind of went kaput. But I don't have heavy hate on this movie, but I don't have heavy love on this movie. I feel like it's just above average, personally. Like 100% watching it makes me go, I really just want to go watch the original one again now, because I love the fucking Carpenter one. It's such a good movie. It's such a good influence on me. I mean, you can't see it's out of frame, but in a lot of my videos, there's a fucking frame portrait of the Thing behind me.
Is that? Oh, the dog one.
It's the Thing. It literally says the Thing underneath it. Right by the head of fucking Ashy Slashy.
It just says the fifth.
Yeah, because it's covered up by his big head.
So that's why I can't read it.
But there's a husky. This movie has huskies.
Oh.
Which is another hinting, a way of saying, oh, look, the original did the huskies as well.
Yeah.
Here's the huskies again. This is
one husky.
One husky, which is what causes the whole outbreak in Carpenter's movie. So that's a good way of giving the huskies origin story. Hiding away, waiting for his moment to escape, and then fuck up Kurt Russell's camp. But yeah, it definitely feels obviously like the Thing. Obviously, the people jumping through bodies, but without the practical side to it, and without the classic Carpenter, score, the building up. It just doesn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think what else I can really say. I mean, the characters are alright. I wouldn't say the worst characters. Obviously, it's interesting because a lot of them are Norwegian. Obviously, half the cast is Norwegian. Obviously, that makes sense because it being a Norwegian camp. So that makes sense that they utilise a lot more Norwegian-based actors, apart from obviously, 4, 5. Obviously, the main character, obviously Mary Elizabeth Winstead, obviously was in Birds of Prey, which we did cover last year. Obviously, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The guy from Fired Up.
I can't remember his name either, but I know who you're about. Yeah.
The one who was also in NCS Los Angeles, and he's been in that since fucking
and
series
Not Another
2.
Teen movie. Pretty much every sort of like
Epic movie, wasn't he in?
Yeah, he's basically in every kind of comedy from the noughties.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And in the basically rip-off comedies when they're taking the piss, the spoof
ones,
the spoof ones.
Spoof one, that's the one.
That guy. Obviously, Joel Edgerton, who of course was in the prequel Star Wars movies. Ironically, bringing them up.
Yes.
Since obviously he was Uncle Owen. Obviously, most recently he was back in Obi-Wan. Obviously, then you got Adewale. I can never pronounce that guy's last name. The guy who played Killer Croc in Suicide Squad.
Yes.
And the big fucking hulking creature in Full Dark World with the horns.
Oh yes, he was that.
He was that. And then that other American guy. The one who was asleep when they first meet him. That's basically a cast of non-Norwegians. Everyone else is basically Norwegian. So, it makes sense adding these other American actors just to give you an actual well-known people. Because if you put these other Norwegian actors in, most American audiences won't recognise them. Yeah, the ones from Game of Thrones, but not at the time. So a lot of these actors you'll be going, I don't know who these are. I'm stumped here. They're kind of like nobodies compared to obviously. Yeah, the original one had like some not well-known faces, but Kurt Russell, Keith David, people that are obviously faces. You go, okay, I've seen them in stuff before. Okay,
they're the sell points.
Yeah, so obviously that's the same thing with this. It's the case of, okay, we need to add a few actors and actresses who've been seen in other stuff before. Yeah, there might not be big stars at this point. Same with the original.
Yeah.
But maybe down the line there will be. Obviously, Mary Elizabeth Winstead obviously went on to do a lot of stuff over the years. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Scott Pilgrim. Birds of Prey. Fargo. She's been in a lot of stuff since this movie. And then obviously you got Joel Edgerton. He's not a big face in cinema, but he does a lot of movies, like Warrior, the Star Wars movies. Trying to think of some of the other stuff he's been in, because I've seen him in a few things here and there. I just can't think off the top of my head. I said obviously Adewale, he was in Lost. Obviously he was in that before this. So obviously he might be the face people go, oh yeah, Mr. Echo from Lost. People might recognise him as that. I also recognise him from Congo, the film with the apes, the one with the killer apes.
Yeah,
it was one of the sort of soldiers that were helping him. He got killed in it. It was one when they went to the mine at the end, and that one soldier getting beat down on the floor. That guy, that was him. He was in that film. I never knew till years later it was him. But obviously he's recognised. I wouldn't say he's recognised for Suicide Squad because you can't fucking see him under that makeup.
But it's what he's known for.
Obviously, you'd say, oh, he's this guy in Suicide Squad. You go, oh, okay, I know that guy's name. But that was obviously after this. Same with 4. These are stuff that you go, okay, he was this guy in 4, and you go, yeah, I know who that guy was. So he's more notable for Lost as Mr. Echo. And then the other guy, I don't know who the fuck he is. But obviously, so the one from Fired Up is well known for these early 2000 spoof movies. People recognise from that. So, but yeah, they're probably the ones that they're throwing in. Yeah, they're not big stars at the moment, but down the line, you never fucking know. They're going to be in some big movies, which all of them were. All of them at some point have been in a big movie, apart from the one guy who I don't know who he is. Maybe he's been in a big movie. It's just me not knowing who the fuck he is off the top of my head, or at all. I mean, if I googled him, I'll probably go,
probably. No, oh my god, he's in that?
I know him from that movie. It's always the same. Always the same like that. You always have that sort of reaction. But yeah. I think it has its moments of being tense. Obviously when it's like, okay, are you the alien? Am I the alien? We don't know who's the alien. Yes, it's been done before in the old one. obviously, it's the more.
I mean, it's literally basically a game now.
It's less. It's less. I say Among Us, basically.
Among Us.
But it's basically less dragged out in this. It's more the case of as soon as someone's basically infected, it's kind of straight away. It's not kept hidden till like a later on moment, like it is in the original. Some of them are kind of later revealed. Like,
yeah,
I'm one of them. Yeah, I just think it's just not as iconic. It's one of those ones where you're probably gonna forget about it. Unless you decide to do a binge watch both back to back, then you go, okay, I remember this movie.
It's one that if you were to watch it, you would watch it with the like original The Thing, not on its own.
Yeah, it's one of the sort of forgettable.
Yeah,
like 2010s horror movies. Because obviously remakes, sequels, prequels, from obviously like early 2000s to now, they're a big thing, especially in the horror genre. Remakes and reboots are the big ones. It's very rare until Halloween came out. You're starting to get these sequels rather than straight up remakes. Because obviously that's one that started it. Obviously, The Exorcist is having a go now. That's having a sequel. But the same guy who did Halloween, David Gordon Green, he's attempting The Exorcist. There's a couple of ones, but obviously the remakes are the big ones. So it's kind of a shocker when they say, we're not doing a remake, we're doing a prequel. Yeah. I do give them credit for not going the remake route. Not just
rebooting, being like, oh look, it's the exact same film, but with more CGI, and here's the complete actors that are not as good as the originals. It's more of its own kind of story. It leads into the original, so it adds instead of taking away.
So basically, you can sort of watch both of individually and not basically worry about too much about the other one. You could literally go, okay, this is like a mysterious ending. The wolf's got away. Whereas the next one, it could be the mysterious thing of, okay, where's this wolf come from? So you can get away without watching the other one. But in this case, you'd personally watch the Carpenter movie. It's one of my favourite movies out there.
If you had to choose between
the Carpenter movie, 100%, hands down. Not
if
even
you have
the
the
debate.
time, you could watch both.
I mean, I think I watched this one earlier this year when I re-brought it on digital. I couldn't find my DVD of it, so I went, fuck it. It's like $2.99. Fuck it, that'll do. It's probably how much it's worth. It's $3.99. So I watched it then, but I haven't watched it till now, and I had the same sort of thought as I have before. So it's just, it happened. Okay, simple as that. Carpenter version all day long. Anyway, I don't think of anything else, can you?
No.
So I go straight to ratings.
Yeah. Hello.
I'll drag it out after that of random stuff. Okay, so if I was to give it a rating, as I said, I think it's somewhere between 5 and 6.9. I don't think it's below average, but I think it is somewhere between average and above average. If I was to give it something, yes, I'd prefer to watch the Power Rangers movies because they're more fun, and they're not basically don't take it seriously. It's not like it's trying to redo a classic. So I think if I was to give it something, I'm gonna say 6.4 out of 10, which is a iron egg. Yes, it's irons and bronze. Yeah, so I think a 6.4 is pretty worth where this is. It's not pushing 7. I think that's a bit too much personally.
Yeah.
But it's just pushed enough above the 6 for me to acknowledge that, okay, this is above average. So it's definitely something.
I would say just straight up 6. Where it's
three reviews in a row. You just give 6, 6, 6.
Almost like I was meant to. I'm the Exorcist now. Yeah, it's for me. It's a new film for me to watch. It's alright, but it's a horror film. Not as interesting for me. But still, like I said, it's above average. Average to me is 5.
That's
So
what I mean.
a
Average for
6
me
is
is
above
5.
average.
6 to 7 is above average.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. I mean, I literally have like a layout of how it classes these. So we're both classing this as above
Yes.
average, which is fair enough. If I can do my maths now, I think I know what it is. It's slap bang. So yeah, okay, I know what it is. Okay, so that gives The Thing, the Chatter Cave, average of 6.2, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yeah, I don't need to calculate that. It's just in 6.4, 2's in between. Bing bang bong. Okay then, MVP.
Mm-hmm. I'd say Kate.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, she was like
the
main character.
Yeah, she's the one that stood out the most.
She's a pretty smart character.
I mean, she's the one that spotted the earring on. I mean, they do a really good job with that bit when he's first in the vehicle. It zooms in, like everything else in the background is blurred, but it zooms in on the ear to show the earring in the left. And then obviously afterwards, it sort of pans again, and the earring's gone. That's when you're like, okay, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And then so she's like, no, I knew you were human. Your earring. It was your left ear. And I do love that scene for the fact that you got the screaming of the alien, like mixed in with his like the weird alien scream. I do love that fucking shot. That's really cool. Really well done.
Obviously, it helps to confirm that she was right. She wasn't just going mad and burning the guy.
Yeah, because she could just execute this guy for nothing.
Yeah.
So it is good that it's confirm it in that moment. Okay, then runner up. I don't think who else stood out really.
A lot of them were more like
generic
cast members, really.
Yeah, they didn't really have any. The only ones that really like had like proper like moments really were obviously the Americans and Lars, who didn't speak English.
Yeah.
Who then went on to hunt the husky at the end.
You get to the husky because it's the one that carried from this film to the original.
You just want to give it to the husky, don't you?
Yeah, I want to give it to the husky. It's cute.
Fine, you can give it to the husky because he sets up the carpenter movie perfectly. Okay. Favorite moment. I said I really love that shot of the fire in the car, but I'm gonna give it to the end credits. The carpenter theme over the top, the constant cut in between who's in the movie and an actual shot, and obviously watching Lars and this helicopter pilot hunting the husky into the next movie. So I feel like that for them to do that, because they could just had it run off and then just had him go get in the helicopter and then ended it there. That's how it could have ended, but they didn't. They had it end with him actually chasing after him. So I do like that. I think it would have also been cool if you saw like the bass in the background, but obviously because it's going to be still a long run for the husky. So I feel like the end credit for me is what gets my favourite moment.
Yeah, okay. Me, I would say probably that moment when she first finds out the idea of, she finds the teeth, like the fillings and stuff, and she's like, starts working out
in the shower.
The fillings in the shower, and you see the blood, and it keeps cutting towards that one guy who seemed like the one that was like hurt. And it's making him seem like he's the creature because he's freaking out. Seems like someone who's just gone cold turkey. He's like proper going out of it, and they got the cocky other guy who's like throwing jokes and stuff. And it's revealed he's the one, not the. I like at least that they made it look like it was that guy, and then spinned it. While also having her work it out.
They did that a lot in the Carpenter one. They spin it around, like you sort of look at it and go, "It's this guy." Oh shit, no, it's this guy. So that does that obviously well to replicate that idea of trying to. It's a whodunit basically. It's like a murder mystery, but
like
without
Clue.
the murder. Basically, it's like Clue, just without the, killing with lead pipes. It's more
an eccentricness.
I'm an alien. I'm going to kill you that way. Okay, so I'm trying to think of some else here. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
What other movie would you think would work with a prequel rather than being remade or a sequel? So what other movie would you like classic sort of movie? Would you like them to go back and say, okay, we're not going to remake it. We're going to take a step back here and see how this obviously happened before this.
Difficult one for me because I don't really know much classic films. I don't watch a lot of them. Like the only other classic film I've watched is Psycho, and that's because I was made to in college. I don't really know, honestly. Not a question for me to answer. For the audience.
Lazy cat.
I don't know any.
Well, it doesn't technically have to be classic. It could be any.
You say classic?
Classic, any sort of movie that just like a big movie that you think, okay, that would really work as a prequel. I think John Wick would be a good idea. Like showing how he was like top of his game beforehand. Like it's not horror, but you know, just show. Like, I know in the Continental series about the owner of the hotel. That's a TV show coming out next year. I feel like maybe it's like something about his early days and building up to him basically quitting to go with his wife. That would be pretty cool. I don't think we have one off the top of my head. I know they did obviously Forbidden Planet and Lost in Space. They're two linked things. I think of some other ones. Obviously, Halloween's already had that idea of the Rob Zombie one, but you don't really need to delve too much into that in the newer storylines because you need the mystery. You don't really need this backstory for Michael Myers. Oh, he's got a bad family. That's why he's killing everyone. You don't really need that. You just need to be like, oh shit, this has happened. Obviously, Aliens has done it a lot. Obviously, every Alien movie past the AVP movies have stepped back in time. Prometheus, Covenant. So they've stepped back to build up to this one. Predator's done it now. They've stepped back. I'm just trying to think of like some other like well-known horror. I'm just looking around the room at other media things of anything horror that I feel like that we'd see how that would work. It's tough. It's fucking tough. I don't think Jaws would work as a prequel. There's nothing to really tell there.
About following the shark. Prequel's basically Finding Nemo.
There's nothing really they could do with that because the shark just comes out of nowhere. It's like all you could really tell is like a story about the shark attacking another town somewhere, but there's no town nearby. Amity is like its own little island, so you just have to be it attacking like the other side of the fucking ocean, then swimming over to Amity. That's all they could do. No, isn't for anything horror. No. There is. If anyone can think of any, put it in the comments that you think would work better as getting a prequel rather than being remade. Or even like given a sequel. So anything that would work well as a prequel. Obviously, Ghostbusters got the sequel treatment. There's not really too much they could do prequel wise with that franchise because obviously they're the ones who came up with the ideas and stuff. So some movies work better as okay, we get this legacy sequel, but I want to know from the audience what movie you think would work as getting a prequel, then set it up into the original, like what The Thing has done. So if you can think of anything, comments below, please. I don't think anything else here we can talk about. I can't really think. I'm trying to drag it out like another a couple of minutes because we're really short on time here, and you know, unless there's
nothing else really.
Okay then. Here's another thing for the audience to debate themselves. Practical or digital effects? Which do you prefer?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be unanimously practical, but okay.
But if digital's done perfectly,
if it's done perfect,
like if it's done spot on, that you go, okay, I didn't like. Beast, when we watched that recently, you you looked at some of these shots of the lines and you thought they were real. Like if it's done that perfectly, would that look better than practical? You know what I mean?
I think usually with That's more of a better mix. Practical for like making something realistic. They use the digital effects, do stuff that the practicals can't. Yeah, I think it's better. They're better to complement each other than to just replace the other.
We're still debate away because we've run out of things to say. I'm gonna have to call this one short. It's gonna be a shorter episode than usual, because I can't think of anything to say.
It's still pretty long.
Yeah, I mean, one podcast I like to do 40 minutes, but oh well. Okay then, so that's it for the Chat Okay podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next week we'll be moving on to the Carpenter original, The Thing, which actually got a video game at one point, like a proper Thing video game, not Among Us.
Among Us, but I don't know.
I've never played the Thing game, so I don't really know myself.
You played Among Us?
When I played Among Us, we played it on the channel, both channels, all three channels.
Yes,
all three channels we played it on.
that's true.
So if you want to check out a video game that's like The Thing, watch us play Among Us, or check it out yourself, because Among Us is a fun game when you've got the amount of people to play it, which we've proved many times that smaller numbers, it's very much game over within 5 seconds, but the bigger numbers, like we did, not on a I think James did on a stream, but you can't get that anymore. I've got it still, but there's some dodgy stuff happens in that, so I'm not going to post it anywhere, i.e. people's names. Your friends, mainly.
Ah, yes.
They chose some very dodgy ass names. But yeah, obviously it's proved their net works better as a bigger thing, which is why these sort of movies work, because it's a big group of characters and you can slowly trim them down until you've got, in this case, two survivors.
Yeah.
2 survivors. And obviously they then implement that as well in the actual original movie.
You're just adding more to the time, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Okay, that's it for then. We'll catch you next time for The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. So we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.